Hello everyone, I'm Mithril the Turtle, and I'm going to be talking about difficulty in video games and how adjustable difficulty is a good thing for accessibility. I know this is a Pokemon Fire Red randomizer where I've randomized everything. I'm kind of just going to be fighting a lot of trainers and going on my way to collect, well, get the SS ticket from Bill, forgot that I fight this guy, and hopefully remembering the controls because I've been playing a lot of Ender Magnolia, where I have my confirm and cancel buttons completely swapped. So part of why I want to bring up difficulty in games is that there is like, especially with the FromSoft games, there's the idea that like there's the easy way to play things, or there's the more difficult way that you can be playing the games, like melee versus magic, or things like that. And honestly, like, everyone should be able to play the game they how they would like to. At least what I would argue is for an offline experience. Now, Elden Ring and the FromSoft games having a huge online component, I'm not going to be talking about them that part of it as much, because there is a level of balance that needs to be achieved. Like, for example, like chess, it is like, yes, there is first move advantage. However, you could also just go that, like, you have two sides with an even number of pieces and it's down to skill. Like, there is going to be variance in different things, but in terms of single player experiences, variable difficulty is a really good thing. Now, this is because, I guess, the idea being that if you want, like in something like Shadow of the Colossus, if you want a player to experience the struggle, like Shadow of the Colossus has multiple difficulty settings, and I don't think anyone's ever been upset at someone for playing Shadow of the Colossus on one of the easier difficulties. And that being said, because it is very much a it's very much a story-driven game. So with that, like, the idea of like having an easier difficulty for offline things isn't a bad idea, because someone can experience the struggle on someone you can different people who have different skill levels can still experience the same struggle and have like the same sense of overcoming those challenges, whether or not it is someone who is not super coordinated versus a speedrunner. Like, they can still have that same sense of accomplishment taking down the colossi. And I think so. Originally, what like got the idea into my head of accessibility being a good thing was a chat with a couple of my friends online. However, what brought it up again is in Ender Magnolia, they have a huge array of difficulty stuff, and I think based from enemy damage to enemy like attack timers to all sorts of things. And I just thought that was really cool, that there is just so much available to be tuned. Because usually when someone thinks of like accessibility in games, like, I would point to the devs of Katana Zero, because that game is about a military conspiracy game with incredibly ridiculously heavy visual effects, and that one has the warning of like, don't, like, be aware if you have epilepsy, don't play this game. And it's very serious, but there are times like you can tone down all the crazy effects, because you run into it in the first level, so it's not really that much of a spoiler. But there is a drug that slows down time called Chronos, and the game makes it visually look like, or your character is on something with like the VHS rewind effects for rewinding deaths, the colors, and all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, it is a absolutely beautiful and beautifully written game, and them being able to include all the stuff to adjust the effects and whether or not that those effects are included is really kind, so that way more people can play the game. Like, I know, like, for myself, like, Armored, like, I looked at Armored Core 6 and I'm just like, wow, this looks like it could be a potentially really, oh yeah, they used extreme speed first. Do we live extreme speed? Nope. So that's a water rock. Anyways, but I guess I just watched someone play a little bit of the first, of the first level of Armored Core 6, and I was just looking at it and went, I would get motion sickness. And at this current point in life, I'm just like, based off of how, how the armored cores move, that I wouldn't necessarily be able to follow, despite being able to do some really crazy stuff in Risk of Rain 2 and speedrun other games. So let's see, is this one? I think the Rock Covet is better at this point. So with that, I think it's important to consider that, like, it stinks that I wasn't able to experience Armored Core 6, because I even know just watching it that it would be not great, and I might get nauseous. And there are other games, like my buddy Swordsman J, like, I forget what, it's like a 2D, it was like a 2D action hack and slash roguelite, and it looked really cool. However, I just, based off of the movement and where all of the screen shifting was going, that I knew that if I did play it, I would, again, unfortunately probably get motion sickness. So with that, like, there are games that, because even though it was fine at the time, like, I knew that the high level movement required for the end game of a lot of roguelites, especially because of how crazy they go with the difficulty, that I would not be able to play that, which stinks. And I guess part of it is going is like, although it was sheer comedy of the moderators on speedrun.com accepting, like, putting my run up first, even though the actual world record run was submitted before mine. Like, I technically held a Tiny Rogues world record speedrun for like about 5 hours for the max difficulty secret boss run in the glitchless category. So, like, and also, if you've seen previous of my videos doing like Midra at level 13 and a bunch of the other Elden Ring bosses at low level, like, I can say, like, I've got pretty decent fine motor and the dexterity for the difficult games, and also I've got the patience for a lot of puzzles. Now, with all of that, like, there being games like for motion sickness that I guess can't do because of visibility stuff, it's just like that that just sucks. And I know that I wouldn't want other people to miss story elements on things like, I guess Celeste comes to mind for me. Funny enough, I have a Mawile named Celeste. Um, so because Celeste is an amazing game about anxiety, depression, and then much later grief recovery. And that's something where I would want, if people are interested in the story, I would want them to be able to overcome it. Now, how do you make a game that is like that easier? I don't know, because it's a 2D puzzle platformer, and that gets pretty absolutely ridiculous on the B and C sides if you've played it before, and also the entirety of the farewell entry, like having a single screen as long as the Path of Pain, and having to reset. Okay, maybe it's not, I'm exaggerating that it's a single screen as long as Hollow Knight's Path of Pain, but it feels like it could be as long as the entirety of the Path of Pain, and if you get touched by a single enemy or miss one jump, you have to reset the entire thing. Like, oh my goodness, that is, like, if there was a way to tone that down so someone who could do that, who could experience that and experience the same, like, triumph of overcoming that, that would be amazing. Because like the whole message about just like sadness is just kind of there, and even it's just like, what would you say to someone if you ran into them after they passed? Like, grief is a huge thing that everybody deals with. Like, if I'm sad for I'm sad for those who have lost loved ones, and I'm also sad for those who don't have someone that they've had a connection to, that like when they do pass, that they haven't lost them. I don't know, like, I've absolutely fumbled my words, but I hope you understand. So like, being able to experience games like Celeste and have a common thing to talk about is really important. And having those things of just like being able, like, again, talking about Shadow of the Colossus, ever, like, when someone goes, oh, did you play Shadow of the Colossus, what did you feel like during the last fight, like, that you're not supposed to be there? What did you feel when aggro didn't didn't do very well on that cliff? What does it feel like when it realizes that maybe you shouldn't listen to a deity, something that claims itself a deity that refers to itself in plural? Like, there is so much story stuff there. It's like that it doesn't, like, that's not the first thing that comes to mind when you ask someone about their experience playing Shadow of the Colossus. Just like with Elden Ring and Dark Souls, it shouldn't be like, what, oh, like, you did a magic run. Pff, like, I remember my first run of Dark Souls too, and I might do a joke run in Elden Ring to see how it goes of a similar build, but like, I was at like 99% equip load heavy rolling, and I had the Guts Sword and a mace and a shield, and I had no idea what was going on, and I activated Company of Champions, and it was it was a lovely mess, and somehow I still made it through and beat Lost Sinner. Like, I have no idea how that worked, but it's still like that was an experience. I don't know exactly where I'm going with that, but it's like, did I play in a very unintelligent fashion? Probably, but it was my first Souls game, and I hadn't experienced anything like it. And I was just using things that I liked. I just hit things with a giant sword. And as you can see in a lot of my Elden Ring videos, I very much love big spells. Big spells are great. I thankfully with Elden Ring, yes, spells are are a lot, I'd say, more accessible than in a game where you might not even start with a single spell slot. So yeah, I think I'm just going for the accessibility, and as the starting point that I had, accessibility is adjustable difficulty is good for accessibility in the sense that someone who doesn't necessarily have the same fine motor stuff, I say as I run over a very easily avoidable ledge, that they can enjoy those stories and share them. Because as someone who is, well, even just creating content, that I would rather more people enjoy what I made than have them not see it. So, like, now I think part of what I also want to add is I don't want to put, like, for different games, it is different on how much, like, what is the responsibility of a developer in order to, like, accommodate things. Now, I don't know, and that's not a great answer. Like, the crazy difficulty adjustment stuff that's present in Ender Magnolia is absolutely wonderful, and that's amazing that they had that type of difficulty breakdown, and that they had several preset difficulties of, like, this is easy, normal, and hard, that were just all available for players to choose from. That's wonderful, and I would say, like, above and beyond what is above and beyond what's necessary. And again, I can't confirm, like, what is the minimum a game developer should go for, because I haven't made a game and I don't know. Hopefully, I don't think I have water absorbed, so this should just go. Alright. So I don't want to try and be like, oh, game developers should do X, because I don't know what game developers should be would be doing, but I would encourage more people, like it's good for a lot of things. Like, it's good for being able to have shared experiences, and also as a company, it's good for profit, because if more people can play your game, and because there isn't just like a huge wall of difficulty, then that's a good thing. And now difficulty could, and I think a lot of people would say, like, Elden Ring is one of the easiest From Software games, and I honestly don't think that it's because they, like, tried to, oh dang, this is a ho-oh, that they went out of their way to try and make things easier. I think it was more of just a polish thing. Like, Ender Magnolia, in my opinion thus far, at least, like, on the normal difficulty, is significantly easier than Ender Lilies. And that's just because of just polish, and that like, some of the mechanics got smoothed out, and it's an absolutely wonderful and fantastic game, and it's still just very difficult. And yes, I am coming out of this from being very experienced in Metroidvanias, and also having beaten the first game on 100% of the first game, but being Ender Magnolia being easier than Ender Lilies is not a bad thing. And like one of my friends was even talking about, like, Ender Lilies was just they described it as you're playing Dark Souls, except it controls like Cave Story, which is, I agree with it. That's a very like it's a really that's a it, it can potentially lead to a the control scheme and how everything just feels being so out there that the game feels oppressively difficult, which I don't think the developers intended. I think Ender Lilies, like, I would say, like, you have a difficulty wall coming out of the tutorial, but then a much more, like, low difficulty. And once you overcome that wall, it becomes very reasonable to, like, get through the rest of the game. And it's amazing. It's one of, if not my favorite game of all time. You should absolutely play Ender Lilies Quietus of the Nights. I haven't finished Ender Magnolia yet. I think I'm getting close to the end, so I can't say that I fully like, from what I've played so far, I recommend it, but I can't, but I think if things keep going as they do, I would even recommend playing Ender Magnolia before playing Ender Lilies. It is because of just how that is. Like, in the Dark Souls versus Dark Souls 2 thing, it's like they just handle, so like the games handle differently. And yeah, and I guess like all the games that I'm using here, I love as examples. I love early, like, I should say, the ones that I've played. Presumably I would love Armored Core 6 and whatever that other roguelite was, if I was able to play them without potentially getting motion sickness. But like, I love these games, and I'm not saying that I'm not knocking any of them. Like, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones is also considered one of the easiest ones in the series, and I also feel like because of the, like, yes, there is a part to do with enemy stats, but also just because they do a really good job at, like, explaining things and just polish, like, with polish, and also being able to have a lot of variability in the army with the branched promotions. Like, there's just a lot of really good things that the game does. And it's a beloved game, and despite being easy, a lot of people by Fire Emblem standards, a lot of people still love it. And if you do Ironmans or randomizers, like, you can increase the difficulty. Like, I'm doing a randomizer right now because I love Pokemon and I want to run into a lot of ridiculous, potentially difficult scenarios, and that's why I boosted the trainer levels by about 50%. So, yeah. I think I'm probably just been talking about games a lot, but like I said, the wanting to discuss the shared experiences and connect with other people, I think, is a really important thing. And again, like, if you're going from the business standpoint, marketability. But I think even just from an artistic standpoint, being able to have people of a wide swath of skills experience the same struggle against whatever common enemy that is, whether it be the first Colossus, Radigan, and Elden Beast, or Lost Sinner and whatever else from Dark Souls 2, having gamers be able to talk about those shared struggles, or in things like Celeste, where there are other themes like anxiety, depression, and grief recovery. All of that is great, and you're able to share, and if you're the one who made that media, to be able to share the vision, I think is wonderful. Yeah. What's not wonderful is that Ampharos just missed its explosion after knocking itself out. Yeah, so I think making it more, like, adjustable difficulty is a good thing. there are probably ways to do it right, and but and there are some games that probably do adjustable difficulty better than others, but having it is generally, I think, a good thing. Like, I guess Metaphor Fantasio, as I have been talking about, like, they have, and also, I can't remember if exactly they have it, but like with Baldur's Gate 3, Divinity Original Sin 2, like, no one's knocked Larian for having adjustable difficulty. Please evolve into something good, and I will get back to that. I want to see what this evolves into. A Dawn fan. Okay. Well, we can roll with that. I say it's with a huge pun afterwards because this thing just rolls around. Let's check this thing's stats out. Ground type, timid nature with suction cups. I forgot what our other type was, but I feel like, so this is a normal Dawn fan, except we have terrible special defense, but we have good special attack and attack. That's crazy that we have good special attack and attack now. What in the world TMs did I have? Is poison gas. Theoretically, we could go Dragon Dance. Ice Beam is up. Wait, I have Ice Beam is a fighting type move. That's amazing. Yeah, no, we're absolutely using it. Yeah. We're keeping toxic. We're absolutely getting. I think we keep. Do we keep Slack off? I think I keep Slack off for now. Actually, we don't have, this Pokemon doesn't have that much defense, so we're just gonna go Ice Beam, because also it's pretty fast. And this isn't a Nuzlocke, so I don't have to worry about potions or anything. But yeah, but things like Divinity Original Sin 2, Baldur's Gate 3, and Metaphor Fantasio that are very story heavy, it is great that there are those multiple difficulties, because I felt much more of a struggle that, like, even made Luis a more intimidating villain, because he like, Luis was a more intimidating villain because of the difficulty setting that I had put the game on, not just because because of excellent voice acting and everything else. And I think those things, like those struggles in those like things like Baldur's Gate and Divinity Original Sin 2, like, you can increase the difficulty later as you're more familiar with the game, and that's a really nice thing. Like, you're able to do that. So it's one of those ones where if you're less familiar with the system of how everything is going in the game, that you can familiarize yourself with it and also not lose a ton of time. Like, honestly, part of, like, there are some things like time loss. Time loss is really tough. If you feel like you're wasting, whether it is working a 9 to 5, parenting, or anything else, like, the last thing you want to do is have a video game feel like it's wasting your time because something that's unfair. And adjustable difficulty and other things helps avoid those types of scenarios, I feel like, especially if it's something that you can adjust consistently. But, like, it's really nice to not feel like that you're just stuck. And now here I am just kind of fighting random trainers because I know that the SSM rival fight's gonna be crazy. Because with the 50% level boost, like, it is stacking up much faster than I did in the crystal randomizer. But yeah, so I think that's really, I think just kind of hitting the final point home, just being able to share your experiences with the story and having a similar sense of triumph and just enjoying the media. Like, I think for Pokemon especially, like, there are casual playthroughs, Nuzlocks, draft race Nuzlocks, ROM hacks like Emerald Kaizo and Run and Bun that are meant to, I thought, to be played of as Nuzlocks, but are also have the incredible, ridiculous difficulty. Like, I think that is very telling that you can, good games don't need to just have one difficulty setting, and there's a lot of ways to enjoy them, and none of them are wrong. Like, I don't think that there are any like amazing. I think part of it is also just owning how you play a game. Like, if, like, I'm not going to argue, like, I would never state that, like, I'm the best Pokemon speedrunner or Nuzlocker or anything, or like even the best at like Fire Emblem Iron Mans or anything. But even though I can do some even though I might try some of those challenges, but no one is going to like knock me for just having a nice time playing a Pokemon randomizer, where sometimes in the FromSoft community people are a little bit more vocal about whether or not playing the game a certain way. And again, this is with respect to offline single player is correct or not. And then again, having the multiplayer aspect and the balance, that is that's an entire mess that I'm not even gonna try and get into. I don't know. So hopefully that was just, and like I said, like, and not every game necessarily needs to be made for everyone in terms of like a specific difficulty. However, being able to broaden what the audience can reach your game is a really nice thing, and I think that is something that should be considered more. Whether or not a game is on the easier side and it can be self-imposed. Dang, does they have a Reggie, guys? Whether or not it's like a self-imposed difficulty, like with Pokemon, or if it is more mandatory as in one of the FromSoft games, being able to being able to hit a broader audience is nice, because then you have more people to share the experience with, and it's good for being able to express an artistic vision, and it's also just nice to be able to chat with your friends about games. So yeah, being able to have some flexibility with difficulty, whether or not through built-in mechanics of a fixed difficulty game, or having an adjustable difficulty, it is good, because we're here playing games for fun. Like, yes, there is technically a for-profit if there's like a tournament with a prize pool or whatever, but the people who do that theoretically still love those games. So yeah, games are fun, especially if you're just playing them to relax and to relax in downtime, and they should be able to be fun. But yeah, so that is hopefully a very cold take on difficulty. And yeah, so I'm gonna catch this sand shrew, hopefully, and yeah, I know that not much happened in this episode because there's just not a ton. I knew that I was in a very uneventful part of the uneventful part of the game. So hopefully you enjoyed me doing a random I guess it isn't random based off of the current experience, but it's random compared to me just talking about the Pokemon randomizer. So if you enjoyed that, please let me know. And I hope all of you have an absolutely wonderful day. And yeah, and I will keep going with this randomizer, and next time we'll probably be going to the SSN and getting through that rival fight, getting cut, and going after Surge. You get to be chatting because that is what we were doing here today. And if I spell things wrong, whatever. Alright, just chatting was sent to Bill's PC. Thank you all so much. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for your time. See ya!